Hi there, and welcome to another painting video. I'm Stacy, the mixed media encaustic artist behind Studio Stacy. If you're new around here, thank you for joining us. If you're a returning viewer, thanks for coming back. Come along as I paint this lovely lighthouse painting and walk you through some of my process. Just sketching out this lighthouse onto this panel. Starting a new painting. There are a few rules that I follow when painting with encaustic. The first is a porous surface, like this wood cradle panel that I'm painting on here. I typically prime my panels with a special paint made for encaustic. Then the second rule that I like to follow is I always fuse between each layer. I usually use a torch to do this, and this torch allows me to turn up the flame or the heat real high, or I can fuse it at a very low flame depending on the effect that I want. I use griddles to melt the encaustic paint, and there are also thermometers in each one of these griddles, and that is just to make sure that the wax stays at a safe temperature. I also like to mix my colors right on the griddle, and I usually use 3 to 4 shades of each color to add a lot of depth and interest to the paintings. And here you'll see me adding some clear encaustic medium to that paint, and that thins it out and makes it more transparent. And the beauty of encaustic is you can make the paint easily more transparent or less transparent, which allows for some beautiful layering, and you can see right through to the very first layer you put on if you wanted to. I always have some white encaustic paint on my griddle. I'm constantly using the white, whether I'm mixing it in with one of the colors to make them more opaque or adding in some highlights to a painting. I'm always using that white encaustic paint. I also like to add in little fine details, and the encaustic paint I find is a little tricky to do this with, even with teeny tiny little brushes. So for fine lines, I use some Inktense pencils, and those work really well with the encaustic. I also do a lot of scraping back, which you'll see me doing here, to reveal some of those colors underneath and just really blend everything all together. And speaking of layering, I typically do about 4 to 5 layers of the clear encaustic medium before I even start to put the encaustic paint down. And this also, again, just helps blend everything together and kind of gives me a surface to work on to begin with. Adding in some pan pastel and a few more layers of the encaustic paint, and also scraping back and forth and just really kind of fine tweaking everything. and adding in a good bit of texture here. And you'll see coming up, I apply some gloves, and sometimes I wear gloves and sometimes I don't, depending on what I'm working with. And in this case, I'm working with some oil stick to really bring out that texture, and I'm applying it with my fingers, so I want to protect my skin and myself from the oil paint, the oil stick, and so I'm wearing my gloves. And just really bringing out that texture, rubbing that in between all of that area to making sure it kind of sinks down in all of the nooks and crannies and crevices. And then I wipe any excess away with a paper towel. Adding in a few more final details, and this painting is about done. If you guys have any questions on my process, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below. I think that's a wrap on this week's painting. I'm going to flip the camera around and show you what the state of the studio looks like. It's a mess. So here is an overview of this very messy desk space. And I have, as you can see, supplies out everywhere here. One last step before this painting is completely finished, and that is to take the tape off of it and finish up the sides. So I'm going to do that, and then I will flip the camera around and show you some close-ups. So to finish off the sides, I have already painted them prior to putting this blue painter's tape on them. And then I take and heat it up lightly and scrape off any excess wax that has been on the sides of the panels. Sometimes this takes a couple tries to do to get through all of the layers of wax, but I want to make sure that I don't get any of the painting itself, so I don't want to move any of the wax that's already on the finished piece. And then from there, I just peel the tape back. This lovely little painting is now complete. Gonna zoom in here on a couple little areas of the painting. Thanks for coming along on this painting video. I was wondering, for those of you that have been here a little while, or even those that haven't, do you prefer just straight painting videos like this one? Maybe a little bit shorter, 10 minutes-ish or less? Or do you prefer painting videos mixed in with some life stuff? It could still be a shorter video, or do you prefer painting videos mixed in with some life stuff and slightly longer videos? If you could let me know, that would be great. I'm trying to make this channel not just about me, but also what you would like to see. So I would love to know. If you did like this video, and if you are so inclined to, I'd really appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up. If you are not subscribed, I'd also really appreciate it if you would subscribe. So that's it from here. I will talk to you soon. See you next week, and bye for now.